let's see. Did I get? Oh, it stopped. There you go. Welcome to the Fanatical Browns pregame show. Yes, the Jaguars are in town here. We have the Browns versus the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1 o'clock down at Cleveland Browns Stadium. And welcome to the Fanatical Elves Network. I'm John. That's Steve. That's Sam. That's Elliot. We are part of the great crew that brings you multiple shows every week. These guys are awesome. And I'm so happy that they're here this morning as we get ready for this very big Browns game. Browns are sitting at 7-5. They're right in the midst of this playoff picture. And we were just talking off camera just before we came on about saying how some of our downloads a little bit here on the show have kind of tempered a little bit. And Elliot was just speaking of and we're seeing some pictures up there in Cleveland. The fans are not clamoring to come out, and on top of that, I have season tickets, and unfortunately, I can't make it to the game this afternoon. But I've been trying to give away my tickets, and when you start looking at the stadium and all the ticket outlets, you can literally buy a ticket for the game tonight for like $5.
Dang.
if
well,
you
I
want.
live in wherever this is. It
Yeah.
a home game?
Yeah, it's a home game, and it's just
really wish I was in Cleveland right now.
It's really a weird dynamic, and I'd like to get your guys' takes on why you think that is. I mean, it's December. It's December 10th. The weather here it's 38 degrees outside. It's cloudy, but it's above freezing. There could be some sprinkles and flurries maybe flying through the air later today. But love your assessments here. Steve, let's start with you. By the way, Steve, we're thankful that you're okay. Steve lives down in Nashville, Tennessee, and if you've listened to the news in the last 24 hours, they had a horrible events down there with tornadoes, and many people were injured, and unfortunately some people were killed. And so we're very happy that Steve is okay with he and his family, his dog. How are you doing, Steve?
Doing okay. It was a little wild afternoon yesterday. The weather forecasters yesterday morning said, there might be a thunderstorm, some rain, little wind. No tornadoes. Boom, 3 tornadoes. It's that's what it's like to live in the South. So
yes,
December tornadoes. Gee. It's gonna happen.
They're very scary though. I mean, many of you know that I lived in Wichita, Kansas, and we would have our share of storms. But the South, especially where you live, Mississippi, Tennessee,
Georgia,
Kentucky,
Alabama.
Georgia, this time of year, those November, December tornadoes can just be so damaging. So we're very happy that you're okay. So what do you think about this Browns, Steve? Your assessment on the not the fanfare as much going into this pretty big game. Yeah,
I really don't get it. This is a very important game. I thought the attendance would tick up when New England beat Pittsburgh and put Cleveland in the 5th wild card spot.
Yeah,
I mean, the most important games this stretch are the AFC games.
Right,
win those, and you're definitely in the playoffs. And this is a big game with a team you might have to have a tiebreaker against. So I just don't get it. I don't understand. I don't
know if it's just because the holidays were 2 weeks away from Christmas.
True.
Sam, what do you think? I mean, you're down there in Texas, but we were saying how much you can get tickets for here. What's your feeling on that? And then Elliot, we'll go to you.
Well, here in Texas, if you're getting Cowboys tickets for $5, you probably shouldn't do that because I have a feeling you're not going to live the deal, because $5 Cowboys tickets is not a thing that $500 Cowboy tickets maybe, but not $5. But I don't know. I think it's just two, I guess, quote, smaller market teams. I mean, the Jaguars aren't exactly a big market team. Like, they aren't Los Angeles, they aren't Dallas, they aren't New York. They're just kind of right in the middle. And then Cleveland's also not a massive market. So I think it's just two smaller markets playing each other. And neither team, who knows what's going on with either of them. I mean, with Trevor Lawrence out right now.
He's
Browns
starting
to be collapsing before our eyes. Hopefully not, but it sure looks like it. I think it's just a deal of markets and just kind of a confusion on if these teams are actually good or if they're just kind of falling apart.
Confusion. I like that word, confusion. Elliot, what do you think? What's your assessment on here? Because you said you were talking to some folks that the Muni lot is dead today.
Yeah, I was also going to mention the same phenomenon that you had mentioned, that the ticket market, the secondary ticket market, is way down.
Yeah.
And that just shows that the fan base is not into this. I think it's really the injuries have gotten people down. I also thought, like you guys did, that the Steelers' loss would propel interest to some extent, but that apparently is not the case.
Yeah.
If you look at Twitter, there's a lot of Browns fans that are really psyched about Joe Flacco. And I'm just looking at Twitter. There's a guy that's saying, oh, they are definitely going deep with Goodwin today. Flacco can air it out, and they showed that they wanted to throw deep last week, so watch out for a deep bomb to number 3.
Yeah.
And some other guy says the same thing. Flacco, explosive arm strength. Goodwin, speed and acceleration. Flacco plus Goodwin equals explosive plays. And there's just a series of people that are very optimistic. But I think the majority of fans are kind of like me. We don't really believe that you can take a 30-year-old quarterback, even though a very skilled one, give him 2 weeks of practice, 1 game under his belt. That's big, but still just 1 game and 2 weeks of practice, and have him be competitive in the NFL. That just seems very far-fetched. So I understand the pessimism. On the other hand, I think, Cleveland Browns fans support their team win or lose. They still have a puncher's chance to win this game, but I understand why they're pessimistic. I don't understand stop being a fan just because you think that you're the underdog today. I don't understand.
Well, one key
they're
to
the
this
favorite, aren't they?
Well, that's true. They're actually favorite, but I mean, in the minds of many fans,
I see
they
what
believe
you're
that
doing.
the team is not
Elliot,
going to probably win.
Let's talk about one of the factors, because I know you and I both talked about this off air via text earlier, and I shared a story on Fans First today, which is supporting our Fanatical Elves, and that's one key to this victory, hopefully for the Brownies, is that they run the ball more. The title of my article was "Run the Damn Ball," and that's a common phrase that a lot of fans have shared throughout. I believe that Cleveland is a run-first team. In my article, I sort of poo-pooed the whole group of fans who love to talk about how you pass first, you run second, and that should be the case in the NFL. And I just like, well, we're Browns fans, and this is Cleveland, and historically and currently we should be running the ball. And by the numbers, we're 3-1, or we're 1-3 when we've thrown the ball over 40 times, 4 times this year, 3 in the last 3 weeks straight. We did win the 1 game against Pittsburgh, but we're 1-3 overall. And then when we have run the ball more than pass the ball, we are 4-1. That includes 1 game where we actually were balanced at 36-36 or 34 passes, 34 wins. I forget which victory that was, but we're a running team, and I believe that we should be running the ball. And I hope that, like I said in my comments, that Stefanski gets the memo and that we're more balanced. We don't have to be perfectly balanced, but I certainly don't think we should be throwing the ball 40 times. I'd like your takes on that. Elliot, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, well, I had a podcast earlier this week that said "run the dang ball." I was a little bit more polite, but the sentiment is totally the same. I would say it like this way, though. It's not necessarily that the running game is that great. I don't think that it is, especially with DeJuan Jones now expected to not play, or definitely not playing. But I think that the passing game is in desperation mode. If you have a rookie quarterback that weighs 204 pounds and he's a 5th-round draft pick, that's not really a good recommendation. I like the kid. I think that he can pass, but he's got to be really smart and avoid the big boys. We found that out, what happens when you get sacked big time. But I also think that Joe Flacco has not had enough time to assimilate the Browns offense. And so I think it is a desperate situation, and that they will run the ball not because it's that great of an idea or that the running attack is that good, but that's their best of poor options. There are no great options. There is no option that will give them 30 points of offense. But I think what they want to do is win the game at like 19-17 or something like that. That's the kind of game that they can win. They cannot win by, as you say, putting the ball up 40 times a game. That's not going to work for them with this team. Maybe a month from now, at the end of the season, it might, but not.
And yeah, and Elliot, the narrative that always comes out is like, from these people that are always supporting Stefanski's play calling. And I'm not necessarily talking about play calling right now, but
game plan. We're talking game plan, not play calling.
This theory that we're throwing it more because we have to, because we're way down in the game or something, and that's just false. If you actually watch these games, we're right there within a score, or we're winning in many cases, and we're still throwing the ball. So Sam, can I hear what you have to say about that with the run game? What do you think?
I do think the run game is going to be important, but clearly we just don't run the ball occasionally. We just decide not to. But I feel like the run game is going to be something that's going to help this team, because Joe Flacco, he is an okay quarterback. He knows what he's doing. He's got that veteran skill, but he isn't going to carry this team like a Patrick Mahomes. And clearly Patrick Mahomes hasn't been carrying these garbage wide receivers he has. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But I think running game is going to be important in clock management, in kind of figuring out, setting up the pass, setting up big plays, doing what the run game is supposed to do, which is setting up the pass and managing the clock the best it can. And so I think the run game is going to be important to keeping the Jaguars off the field and keeping the defense, which is crazy to say that they have not been playing the best of football, keeping them off the field too, and trying and giving them rest depending on how their offense does. And just really, it's going to be an important factor to keeping the Browns winning the game, frankly, just winning the game.
We're all going to be commenting pretty early in this one, and we'll see what happens in the first quarter. Steve, what do you think?
Well, the Browns are top 5 in rushing attempts, so for the season. And like I pointed out Thursday, since Deshaun Watson got hurt, the Browns have seen a 63.5% increase in stacked boxes. So they are, and a lot of that had to do with DTR starting 2 games, make the rookie beat you.
Sure.
So they are going to have to start off throwing the ball to soften up the defense. And Flacco has a better notion of doing that than DTR. What I would like to see, we all saw Kareem Hunt last week, 3rd and short. He's going to get the first down. Boom. That's Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford had a nice little cutback run and a couple of those, but I want to see more Pierre Strong. I just want to see more Pierre Strong. He had 2 carries for 20 yards, for goodness sake.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's rotate all 3.
And he almost broke the
backs.
one. The one run. It was like
one run.
He just got tripped up, or he would have gone maybe the distance.
And now that we got Goodwin back, I assume we're going to have an end around sometime during this game. When, I don't know. Hopefully it'll be at the perfect time. So the rushing yardage will come. You just got to get this. The problem is Jacksonville is number 5 against the run in the NFL. The good news is they're 30th against the pass.
Sure.
And they're down 2 corners. I expect them to throw a few more passes than run. But once all you got to do is get to 20 or 21 points.
I think you're
going to win.
When you look at the stats, and I have them actually right here underneath my leg here. Let me just show you. I talked about this last night on our Saturday night Browns Fever show. When they have a balanced attack, and even so, in week 3 they had 33 passes to 31 rushes, and they won that game. They were very balanced in one game in week 5, 34 and 34. They had in their next win, they had 37 passes and 33 runs. But again, that's pretty balanced. It's, a difference of 3 or 4 attempts. Their other wins, they were 30 passes, 40 rushes. That was, I'm trying to go back and recall that which game that was. And then the following week, they had 35 passes, 36 rushes. That was right before the Pittsburgh games. And then the Pittsburgh game, we had DTR throw the ball 43 times to 25 passes. In the last 2 weeks, we've gone 42 passes and 44 passes. 44 to 24 and 44 to 23, which just needs to be. I don't.
Better quarterback play will soften up that defense. Get them out of that sack box.
Yeah,
and that's all they need to do. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 40-yard bomb, just a 5-yard quick slam. Boom,
well, it wasn't a flank.
You can do anything.
Flacco, they said, was throwing the ball. He was the first Browns quarterback in some time. Was it the 5 years that has thrown the ball that had more than how many? Like
it was 10 plus yard passes, and that's the first time in 5 years a Browns quarterback has done that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so and you're going to have to run the ball because he is more effective in play action than he is. So they are going to run the ball.
Let's pause real quick for a commercial break here on the Fanatical Elves Network. We'll be right back. Okay. Hope you enjoyed those commercials on the Fanatical Elves Network.
Them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we're talking Browns' key to the victory. We just talked about the run game. Let's talk about the Browns' defense. Sam kind of mentioned it a little bit. I think that's part of the mystery here. And I think Sam talked about why it's important to keep, the offense on the field, to give the defense time off. And they're beat up a little bit. Myles Garrett looks good, but he's still hasn't had a sack, hasn't been a human highlight reel the last few weeks. So Steve, let's start with you on this one. You talked about the defense a little bit. What do you think we should be looking for with that Browns defense today?
Yeah, I mean, it's especially with Trevor Lawrence. He got hurt. So I think that's also a very important thought is how is the passing game for the Jaguars going to work now that Trevor Lawrence is no longer quarterbacking that team? And so I think
he's going to quarterback. He's going to play, I think.
You think so?
He is going to play.
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't. I thought he was out
He'll
for the
start.
game.
We won't know how long he's going to play.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then
let's just assume that he plays. Okay. Yeah.
Then my point's a little moot, but it's like, especially if he is injured, he's still going to have a little bit of a nagging injury. He's not going to be 100%. So he's going to be a little bit more bad, I guess, like for lack of better term. And I think that's going to be a crucial point is how is their passing game going to work? If Trevor Lawrence if that ankle sprain maybe limits his scrambling ability, maybe he's not able to get out of the pocket and create for extend the play and stuff like that. And so I think it'll be important to see what the defense does. How is the secondary able to adjust, because they have not been very good these past few games. But it'll be interesting to see what the passing game looks like with Trevor Lawrence being a little beat up, and how the secondary can kind of do their thing, and if they're able to figure out their problems that they've been having for the past few games.
Yeah, Elliot, is Denzel Ward back, or Steve? Yeah, he's
still
back
questionable,
today.
but he's going to probably play.
Okay,
I mean, which helps.
Okay, yeah. What do you think the keys are? Yeah, where do you think the Browns defense needs to? I mean, what should be a real big goal for the defense? Either Elliot or Steve. What do you think? I mean, Sam kind of talked a little bit about that defense already. What do you think is also key for the defense today?
I'll let Elliot go first.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that it starts up front. The Browns front four was called out by Jim Schwartz this week, saying that, well, you guys haven't shown up the past 2 weeks. We don't know why that is. I would caution that in all football players, especially on the defensive and offensive line, we have no idea of what their true injury level is. Everybody is injured to some extent. It's only a question about, what percent are they? Are they 50%, 90%, or how good are they? Right now, the Browns are not, or I should say last week, the Browns were not an above average defensive line. They've had a week to heal up, and those guys are like Wolverine. You poke a hole in them and it heals up in seconds. They can heal very fast.
Yeah,
in the NFL because they're mutants. but we don't know. That's what we mean. We literally don't know who's going to show up. How healthy are they? I guess is a real question. We would like to see more out of Zadarius Smith. He hasn't had a good year this year after an early start. And maybe can they get him back in shape? And, maybe they need to, once again, distribute the workload and get some of the backup players in, let the veterans rest a bit and try to keep them fresh for the fourth quarter. But if they can do that, then, I think this is a critical game for the defense to show that they are still the awesome defense that we saw earlier in the season. If they roll over and get beat up by Jacksonville, I think it will be a very crushing and telling blow for the team.
Well, and coming into this game, you have to look back at what just happened on Monday night. They got beat at home by the Bungles of Cincinnati.
The Steelers.
No, I think the Bengals.
No, Monday night. Jags
Monday night.
Previous Monday night. So, I mean, that was not expected. And
Jake Browning looked like a franchise quarterback.
Right. So, I mean, Jacksonville's got some pressure on them as well. And so this will be I'm very anxious to see how this all plays out this afternoon. And
Me too.
I think, you said the Browns are favored.
Yeah.
Correct. What's the point spread? Do we know what the point spread is? Is it like 3 points, 2 points? Is it?
Last I saw, I think it was 1.5, 2. It swung.
Okay.
It's gone down.
Three Jacksonville to 2 Cleveland. So
I have a feeling that Dustin Hopkins is going to be heavily involved in this one as well. I think, and I go back to like what Elliott speculated, this game might end up being like a 19-17 game, which was the same score that we had with the San Francisco 49er game. And held on to win that game.
Thank goodness it wasn't 20-17.
Yeah. Any other keys? Yeah, Steve. Any other keys
on the
to the
defense?
game? Yeah.
On the defense, Ward back is big. Without Ward, they allow 140 yards rushing and about 190 to 200 yards passing. With him, they allow less than 100 yards rushing and about 140 yards passing. So he does make a difference. Have him back. If they can get Cameron Mitchell, he was activated. So him playing in the slot.
I always think of Cameron Mitchell. I think of like the hair products. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I don't think about hair products. So that's not my problem. But anyway, the Jags offensive line is really beat up. Their left tackle may be Ezra Cleveland or the Browns' legendary Blake Hance. That's their left tackle.
Okay.
And their right tackle has already given up like 5 sacks. He's not that great either. So
well,
I fully expect the ends, and I'd like to see more Alex Wright. As long as they teach him where to line up,
that's
he can be very productive.
That's what kind of surprised me last week against the Rams again, was that I don't think the Rams coming into that game were they really controlled that line, and we didn't see any.
Also, Matthew Stafford gets rid of the ball so quick.
Well, that's a good point too. Yeah. But I mean, you're going up against Trevor
Beathard.
Yeah, Sunshine.
I mean, they're gonna be under pressure a lot.
They are. Yeah. Well, okay. Final takes today. Let's just go around the room. Steve, let's start with you. Final thoughts on what this game means to the team. How do you think this game's going to pan out, and any tidbits that you have, because you always provide us with little factoids that are, you only catch it here on the Fanatical L's.
Well, Jags are 5-0 on the road. Browns are 5-1 at home. Kevin Stefanski has not lost to an AFC South team yet. Joe Flacco is 9-2 in Cleveland Stadium. So I fully expect the Browns to win. It might be a slow start as usual, but I think it's like Elliott said, it's going to be a little close game. I'm curious as to see how well the defense bottles up Sunshine or Beathard or the kid they signed the other day, Rourke. I doubt he'll play. They just signed him. But the only thing that really scares me is their running back. At the end, he's like Warren with Pittsburgh, and he's like the Williams kid with the Rams. that small back that just tears the Browns up, and he scares me.
Hey,
gotta put a body on him, man.
Is Ernest Johnson with them still?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
He plays special teams.
We'll see
got a
him
couple
today.
runs last game.
I'll be very anxious to
okay.
watch for him. So I think that for Ernest Johnson, this game might mean a little bit more to him. Who knows? We'll see. But I won't be surprised if I see him on the field of play doing something good for Jacksonville. I hope not too good, but I always liked the kid. I thought he got a raw deal here in Cleveland. Elliot, what are your final thoughts today as we get prepped?
Well, I would echo what Steve said. I'd like to see the defense show up. I think if the defense plays well, I could tolerate it if the offense completely messes up, and I sort of expect that to happen because I believe that we're in desperation mode at quarterback. If DTR were healthy, I think he would start, but if without a full week of practice, I can understand why they might rather start the veteran in that case. But I do have one final rant.
Yes.
Is that the Browns, speaking of quarterbacks, they cut PJ Walker. They just outright cut him. And I hope that they're going to sign him to the practice squad. But otherwise, once again, we don't have a third string quarterback, and we've got a 38-year-old who has had injury problems in his 30s. That's our top guy, possibly.
Right.
And then Dorian Thompson-Robinson is one of the smallest quarterbacks in the NFL. This does not sound good from a health standpoint. There needs to be a third quarterback. I believe there should be 3 on the active roster. I believe there should be a 4th quarterback, maybe a 5th that are on the practice squad that are just there to learn the playbook in case they have to go in the case of an emergency. They do not have to be superstars. I don't want to hear the word franchise quarterback from anybody. They do not have to be franchise quarterbacks to play for the Cleveland Browns. They just have to be able to understand the playbook, hand the ball off, and throw the ball 20 yards. That's the requirement in order to make the team as a practice squad quarterback. Okay, yes. I'm done.
All right. Thank you, Elliot, so much. Sam.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think I've mostly said all of my points, but run the ball, protect the ball, please. Did we have 0 turnovers last week? No, we had 1. No, we had 1. It was an interception from Joe Flacco.
And a fumble.
Okay. I don't
and
know.
a safety.
And
yeah,
safety,
that safety was so annoying. I was watching the end of the game, and I'm like, are you serious? Are we just really giving up a safety? We're already lost the game. Safeties are so rare. I feel like that was like the 3rd or 2nd safety of this season.
Well, we should have had a couple ourselves a couple weeks ago when we beat whoever.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be
game.
Joe Flacco probably will throw 1 interception. We'll probably have 1 turnover. It's just what's going to happen. It's NFL football. You're going to have a mistake. But I mostly used all my points. It's just going to be Trevor Lawrence. We'll see how he plays. We'll see how their passing game is. Denzel Ward, when he comes back this week, depending on how much he plays, I think he still will be a little limited. If he plays and if he does well, I think that'll be interesting. The secondary has been really weird. It's been really disappointing to see how bad they've been these last few weeks, but it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a fun game to watch, but I do think we can win. I think the Browns definitely have a chance to beat the Jaguars.
Sam, I'm happy that you're wearing your Cleveland Browns sweatshirt
not like
today.
Cowboys.
Right. That makes me happiest. Also, what makes me happy as a Browns fan, and every Browns fan should be very happy, that the Pittsburgh Steelers have laid huge eggs the last 2 weeks against horrible teams in the Cardinals and the New England Patriots. So that has me happy today.
Losses to 2-win teams.
It's great talking to Steeler fans. We got plenty of them here in Columbus. I don't know.
Everybody should be fired and everybody should be traded.
It's just great. They got 2 weeks ago. They just talked about, we got the Cardinals and we got New England. Oh, we're going to win those games. We got and here they are. They've lost the last 2. So that always makes me happy. Yeah.
Real quick, little bad news. Denzel Ward is inactive.
Oh, bummer.
I must have not see that.
Grant Delpit is active after missing practice on Friday, and Cameron Mitchell is active.
And so Grant Delpit did sign.
Yeah. Delpit, he signed his extension. Paid a little too much, but that's a story for another day. And Cameron Mitchell is playing, so he'll take the slot. Newsom and Emerson will be on the outside, and I don't want to see Mike Ford unless he's on special teams.
Denzel Ward, is it a concussion again? Is that
no?
What we're
It's his
dealing
shoulder.
With? Okay,
his shoulder. He had a shoulder injury.
I mean, we can talk about Denzel another day, but
well, I think it's just a little precaution, get him ready for the stretch.
I know, but it's just such. I know we talk about the stretch run. Yet, but 4 years now, we've talked about Denzel Ward and his injury, prone to injuries. We go back and look at it, and I don't have a lot of,
If Cameron Mitchell wasn't playing, I have a feeling he would have gone.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Guys,
thanks again for being part of this Fanatical Browns pregame show. Go Browns. We're going to beat those Jags later this afternoon. We'll be coming back to you later tonight in some form or fashion with some type of postgame.
It might happy postgame.
Yes, it might be early. It might be late, but some of us will be back. We're going to be bringing all the shows this week with Elliot's Oracle Speaks. Amazing shows. Sam's got his Browns breakdowns. He's not bringing one. He's bringing two on Wednesday. And we got Steve Gill up there bringing the Dog Pound South show tomorrow. Hopefully Victory Monday show tomorrow and all that fun stuff. Everybody take care. Go Brownies.
Go Browns.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof.
Ooh.